but do we really have to have 50 steps to transform into something that doesn't look like anything?
Welcome to Figure Nights Theater Podcast, episode 24, which is titled, Josh Wants 2.
I want 2!
Alright. As always, I'm your host, Andrew Schatz. With me are my co-hosts, Drew Merkel. What's up, Drew?
Hi.
And Josh Carius. How are you, buddy?
Maxing out the mic with my Hugo Weaving impression, apparently.
That's okay. And RD is on assignment this week. Alright, so let's talk about what we got recently. Josh, why don't you go first?
Alrighty. So it's been a while since I've been on, at least for this part of the show. Mm-hmm. So I didn't mention it last time, but I got Energon Tidal Wave from Transformerland.com. Got a decent deal on it. No missiles, but had the little ramjet, and he's just a really fun toy. Any hype you may have heard about the Tidal Wave mold is correct. I just have a love for him and his Energon color scheme, because that was one of the characters that like little 8-9-year-old Josh really loved for some bizarre reason.
Cool.
I also picked up Dream Factory's Bone Crusher. I think they call it Steel Claw, but the name was very low-key.
How is that figure?
Painful, like physically painful. Not like bad, but like to your fingers it hurts. It seems like there was no attempt whatsoever in the design of the figure to, soften corners and edges. Mm-hmm. And so, like, sometimes it actually does physically hurt to move panels around. And there are a couple of panels near the back of the truck that one of the earliest steps in the transformation is to fold them back. Mm-hmm. And it's like a double hinge foldy thing. Mm-hmm. And no part of that hinge is rounded off. So it's very difficult to get it to move because it's all flat and like all the corners are getting in the way of it moving. So I think I might try to trim that down somehow. I'm not really sure how. The plus side is that it does give a very smooth, clean vehicle mode. Like, even though you can see the panel lines, it doesn't have the, the natural... The panel lines aren't as obvious because it's so crisp. Mm-hmm. But, he looks gorgeous. He's nice and big. His wheel feet work very, very well. All of the toes move to help you pose him. His eyes light up, and the batteries came already installed.
Wow.
So that was no trouble. The trouble with it, though, is that the switch for the eyes is very poorly designed. There's a panel on the top of his head that you slide back, and that panel does not like to move, and the switch is under that panel, and it's really hard to get into it. They should have just had the switch somewhere external. Mm-hmm. But, apart from those various nitpicks and, the lack of wrist swivels that most people already knew about from the pictures, he's still a very well-sized toy. It's the nicest-looking Bone Crusher that I think exists right now, and I'm very happy to have him on my shelf. And the other thing that I got, it surprisingly arrived on Christmas Eve, so it got opened as a Christmas present, was Wei Zhang's Blackout, which they called Hide Shadow, excuse me. And it's the oversized Studio Series Blackout with a lot of reworked engineering. The whole shoulder missile thingies are reworked so that a lot of that kibble comes off of his arms and sits and folds up neatly on his shoulders. The arm panels also fold in more and just get more concise. He has fully posable 3-fingered hands, wrist swivels. He's still got that nice little wire that I was always talking about loving. some fixes on the toes. Paint is gorgeous. This guy is massive, and he's very stiff, very sturdy. I got the version that has the bottom panel with the diorama and the Scorponok, which has extra articulation in his tail.
The lizard.
The diorama
the
is
lizard
really
display
fun.
stand.
Yes, Agnes, my gecko, climbed up on the display stand and terrorized some soldiers. But I'm really, really happy with how this figure turned out. It is a massive centerpiece for my movie collection, and he actually is comparable in size to Titan's Return Trypticon. He is not the same size, but height-wise, like the top of his big rotor turbine thing over his head comes up to like roughly around Trypticon's shoulder level.
Damn.
So he's got some mass to him.
Yeah, that's huge. Wow.
You don't realize how big he is until you start moving him around, trying to put him on a shelf, just handling him.
Did you transform him yet?
I did. I've transformed him back and forth a couple of times. The process is very smooth. It's very similar to the Studio series with a few extra bits. I've heard people complaining that the chopper mode doesn't hold together very well. I don't have that problem. Once you get there are couple, like the bits, the panels that are on the bottoms of his feet don't slide in and line up properly on the tail until you put the bottom panel on. But even that's like you can squeeze it in and it'll stay. It'll just slide out over an extended period of time if you don't have the bottom panel on.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a big improvement then.
Yeah, it really is. I've got this the Leader Studio Series version. He was a leader, right? Yeah, he was a leader. Sitting on my desk right now because I'm gonna, when I bother to go down to the basement where I've got all my boxes stored, I'm gonna box them up and put them up on the eBays.
Cool. All right.
Awesome.
Well, Mr. Drew, what have you gotten recently?
Well,
Gotten?
So-
Is that a word?
so we haven't done this since before Christmas, right?
We
may.
think, yeah.
Okay.
Somewhere around there we did it.
Okay, well, I got the little Jeff Goldblum figure from the Jurassic Park Legacy line for Christmas.
Oh, awesome.
So that's cool. He's got the little the flare, and he can run from a giant T-Rex, and they're pretty much in scale, and that's awesome.
That is.
And then I got, as far as stuff goes, I've filled out the Siege line a little bit since we've talked, and that's pretty much it. Optimus is fantastic. Megatron has grown on me. Shockwave's really, really good. Maybe the rundown is Optimus is great, Shockwave is really good, and Megatron is good.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
Is how I'd go about it. You know, those little extra parts that I really didn't think I wanted for the Shockwave are all pretty fun. And the spaceship mode was something I didn't know I wanted, but it looks really cool. So I'm pretty happy with all of those. Oh, the hover truck mode on Optimus. That's like the coolest thing ever. And you know, we had covered all this stuff when they were talking about it coming out, and had read that bit on the show, I think, that they were talking about incorporating hover modes, but it looks like it only happened on Optimus.
So far, yeah. It's only on Op, as far as I know. Of course.
Pretty cool, though. So
yeah, that is.
No, it's on Sideswipe if you break off the wheels.
if you break, oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
You can
And
only
Shockwave,
do it once.
Shockwave can glide around on his extra parts
His
together.
giant
It's like
head.
a big head looking thing.
Yeah.
Yep. That's all. Yeah.
And that looks cooler in hand than I thought too. Because you know, when you see the pictures of it, it's like, oh, it's a big giant head, but it's more like a platform with a big thruster underneath it in hand. So it's pretty cool.
Why does Shockwave riding on a hoverboard designed after his own head sound so wrong in concept, but also very fitting?
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. It just
Right.
works.
It's kind of like the rod pod.
It's strangely logical.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he did have the tower shaped like his own head.
Mm-hmm. What, an IDW?
No, that was a Dreamwave thing. I don't know if
okay.
IDW ever used it. And in continuity, I don't think it would make as much sense because of Impurata.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. All right. Well, anything
Andrew?
else you got?
No, I
Nope.
think I've
Okay.
covered everything that's relevant.
All right. Well, I got the same Siege figures you did. I found. Actually, I found Ultra Magnus was the first one that wasn't a deluxe. I found a box at my Target and I opened it because it said Transformers WFC leaders assortment, and I was like, oh. So I opened it up, and there was Ultra Magnus and Shockwave, but I only grabbed Ultra Magnus at the time, and while he is shorter than the Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus, he weighs just a tiny bit more, and he feels like the plastic just feels way better. Like, it doesn't seem like it's just that hollow, cheap plastic that the Combiner Wars one is. And he's really fun. He's pretty solid, great articulation. I put pictures on our Instagram at FKTPod. If you want to follow us, we'd appreciate it. And I put pictures there, and you can see Ultra Magnus can just about do a split while the ankle tilts are still on the floor. He can almost do a split. He can kick one leg way up high in the air and maintain his balance, and that's with all the armor on. And he's just really fun, and transforming him into his big long truck mode, it's interesting how the armor works for that. Like, it doesn't work exactly how you think it would, so that's kind of cool. And one thing I really like about it is the armor that goes on the arms. It completely goes around them, and the Combiner Wars one doesn't have that, and even the Planet X one doesn't do that. So kudos to Hasbro for that. They really did a nice job. I agree, Optimus is fantastic. That is just a joy of a toy to play with and transform and pose. And I like his axe weapon because he can look like he's playing a guitar. And I ordered the toy hacks for him and Megatron, and I found it funny that the toy hacks for Optimus have stickers for the axe that have like different band names that they made up, except for the Knights of Unicron. If you remember that SDCC set where they were a band. There's
the Bumblebee and a Hive is also from the SDCC set. It's in the materials in there.
That's pretty cool they did that then. Nice callback. But one thing I love about Optimus is he has an incredibly deep knee bend. Like, I can't remember a Transformer figure that had that. I mean, it's ridiculous how deep it goes. And you just don't see that on a retail products usually. And Megatron, I agree, is not as good as Optimus, but after you play with him a bit, he's really fun. So
it sounds like we're selling him short, but he really is like, that's the best Megatron figure I've had my hands on.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's pretty fantastic, even if he's not as good as Optimus. He's still really fun. And like him. And on your recommendation, I picked up Shockwave, and I agree with you about what you're saying. I do feel like it would have been better if he was just a little cheaper than $50. Like Ultra Magnus, I feel like he's worth the $50. Shockwave, he could have been like $40, and I would have been a little happier. But I still like having him.
Right.
So other than that, I got BBTS. I got a little pile of loot that had my order for Planet X Asclepius came in, and that's their Fall of Cybertron, War for Cybertron Perceptor. and he's pretty dang nice for the cheap $35 that BBTS had him for. If I paid like 100 or 60, I would have been disappointed, but for 35, he's fantastic. He looks great. If you have MMC figures, he's perfectly sized with like Rodimus. So he replaced my RTS Perceptor, and I got him on the shelf right next to Rodimus. And let me see, he's just a smidgen shorter at the head than Rodimus, and I have not given Perceptor all his crazy weapons yet, but I'll try that at some point. His transformation's pretty easy. You can't go by the Planet X instructions because they're microscopic. They really suck. But MGO and Payah and people like that have decent videos if you look up one of them. And even Bobby Skullface has a good one for that. So, yeah, I like him. I wouldn't mind taking like some silver, maybe a paint pen or something, and just the little dials on his arms. I feel like if I painted them silver, that would really sell him even more for me. But, yeah, he's really fun, pretty cool. And then I also got the Marvel Legends Archangel pack that has, like, the different heads in it and the claw for Apocalypse's Build-A-Figure. So I got him, and I had the older Archangel, and I didn't know how I'd feel about it when I got it. But when I got it, just the colors pop a lot more. His feet, they changed them so he can stand up better with his giant wings. And the wings are more shiny silver, which is nice. And I put him on the shelf with my X-Men, and I used his just normal unmasked head. So he has like long flowing blonde hair and has a pleasant look on his face. And it just works for me. I just like that. So yeah, I got that, and then yesterday I had to go to Walgreens because the wife needed like a couple bucks and wanted a soda. So went there, and they had the Marvel Legends Eric Killmonger from the second Black Panther wave. So this is the one where he's wearing that like his armor outfit, not the Panther armor, just like his army fatigue pants, and his outfit kind of looks like something from Dragon Ball, which is kind of cool. And I heard that they did that on purpose. I don't know if Michael B. Jordan like said, hey, I want it to look like that or what. I don't know if he had any influence on it, but the figure is really awesome. Like he has his it has the face scanning, and it looks just like him, like just like him in the movie. It's cool. And he even has that if you remember, he stole that mask at the beginning of the movie. Spoilers. It comes with that, and you put that over his head, and it stays on pretty well on mine. I've heard some people say it won't stay on theirs, but it works fine on mine. You just jam it on his head, and it stays on just fine. But yeah, I really like that, and I often don't, I don't know. I like getting certain villains, and just his character stood out so much in that movie. And now they're going to make a sequel because it won SAG Awards, I think, and
Yes, it did.
which is really awesome.
It's been nominated for Best Picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great movie. Like if you haven't seen it, you should go see it. But like it just really brings you into the world that it occurs in. Just does a great job and does its own thing, and it's a bit different than the other Marvel movies. But yeah, I'm happy I have the figure. It just made me happy when I saw it, and I debated about picking it up, but I was like, why not? I get myself a little treat. Yeah, I was like, let me try it, and I'm happy I got it. I really like having it. All right, but that's all I've got so far. I'm sure I'll have more stuff on the next show.
Cosmos is creaking.
Cosmos is creaking, so it's
Cosmos.
Cosmos is creaking.
Is that the Legends one?
Pictures. No, it's a iGear.
Yeah, they made one. That's right.
iGear, the little bright green guy
Yeah, I know which one you mean.
with the
All right,
bubble
well,
on his head. Yeah.
Let's get into our topics.
Yay!
All right, so first up is this kind of popped up as a surprise. Toyworld has their TWBS-01, which is a legend-scaled Beast Wars Transmetal Megatron.
B-Series. Sorry.
Yeah, so this kind of caught people by surprise. Let's see. So it looks like it's going to be 12 centimeters tall. What is 12 cm, 2 inches? Is about 4.7 inches tall. So that is a kind of a taller legend scale there. Let's look at some pictures. Let's see. So he's got some very nice colors on him. Kind of his feet are like a metallic purple, as is his chest. He's got some kind of, would you call that orangey, kind of a metallic orange on his legs and his arms and his shoulder pads. Then the rest of him's kind of like a darker silver / gunmetal. So very nice
as
colors
long as
on
it's
him.
not going to crumble into bits.
Yes, I've heard about the gold plastic syndrome on the old one.
I have experienced it firsthand.
Yes, and oh wow. And he turns into his T-Rex mode. Looks pretty cool. Even has a little red tongue sticking out and nice sharp-looking teeth. And
I like
he
the
has
tongue.
interesting rotors at the thighs.
Yeah, it looks like the rotors are on ball joints
That's
so that
cool,
you
too.
can pose them.
Huh. Is that accurate to how he looked in
Oh,
the
yeah.
cartoon, Josh? And
Yeah,
Drew?
and well, in the cartoon, when the turbines opened, he would then position them logically as he was flying.
Oh, interesting. Oh, I see.
The
they have a
original toy,
picture of him.
they just flipped open.
And then he has a roller skate mode where he can put out the turbines and fly around, I guess. Is that
Yep.
accurate too?
It's
Yep.
thrust, yeah.
Okay. That's silly, but if it's accurate, then yeah, by all means.
His flight mode was to flip out his roller blades and flip out the turbines, and he would just fly around that way.
Okay. So what do you guys think of this?
I think it looks great.
Mm-hmm.
And I love T-Rex, so that would kind of make me be a little bit tempted on it. And I like the little I love the dinky wheels on his feet. I mean,
That is
it's
I want to know if they actually turn. I can't quite tell in these photos.
I don't know, but it is cool. But I'm not going down this line. I'm not gonna get it. But it's tempting because it is pretty cool looking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is not something I'm interested in, but I do find it interesting. I'm not the biggest Beast Wars fan, but I do think this looks really cool. Very nice colors. Josh, is this something you would buy?
Maybe.
Very nice.
It depends on the price. I really like it. I haven't really delved into Legends scale figures. I do have the Iron Factory Tiny Adorable Overlord, as I call him.
Mm-hmm.
That was because that was the only Overlord figure in existence at the time, apart from the G1 and some random club exclusives and things.
Mm-hmm.
I got him at TFCon Charlotte in 2014 or whatever. So there's not really a specific place for him in my collection, but this is a really nicely done figure. I know the Legend scaled figures have been excellent for the past few years. I know it's a rabbit hole.
Yep.
I feel like if I'm going to go down that rabbit hole, I would go down it with if companies are going to start making Beast Wars Legends figures.
Yeah.
I might be interested in doing that.
And
Because if you think about it, that's actually a masterpiece scaled Beast Wars figure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. And we know that some other companies are doing some Beast Wars figures. I think,
Yeah, we've seen was a Black Arachnia and Rat Trap.
Yeah, I think someone's doing that. Then Iron Factory's doing
Oh yeah, Iron Factory's doing Transmetal 2, isn't it?
Yeah, they're doing Transmetal 2. So I can see the companies are kind of dabbling, probably seeing how it'll sell, and if it does well, they'll keep making them. So I could picture those doing pretty well because, it's a lot easier for a casual fan to go, oh yeah, I'll buy these Legends Beast Wars ones. They're cheap enough. compared to a Masterpiece one where you're like, oh, $300 for Beast Wars Megatron pass, you know?
Right.
But,
As much as I would love it.
yeah. You never know. You might
The other thing is I want him to have a rubber ducky. I hope they give him a rubber ducky.
They should. They should do that.
With this T-Rex, it would not be in scale with Masterpiece, though. A 5-inch T-Rex wouldn't really... It'd have to be a bit bigger.
Would it, though?
Yeah. Think of the size of a Masterpiece car, and then think about a 5-inch T-Rex.
No, I'm thinking of MP10, and what's 5 inches? I gotta move my mic to get to my.
5 inches is just over the waist. But you think about it, it gets a little smaller as a T-Rex, and a T-Rex is going to be fairly big compared to a car. And the cars are in scale with Optimus, so this is a little too small to be.
No, I'm comparing him based on the actual scenes where you see him with G1 Optimus, and
I don't do it.
I think this figure might actually be a touch big for that.
Yeah, the article at the end of it asks people, hey, is that something you want to do, is pose this Megatron blasting your G1 Optimus Masterpiece? So, you never know. Some people will do that, and it will work for them.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the next topic, which is where the show title comes from. Ooh. So, a few days ago, 3 days ago actually, pictures came out from some type of Hasbro China event, and they showed off MPM. Let's see, which one is this? MPM 8 is Megatron from the first movie, and MPM 9 is Jazz, also from the first live-action movie. So I'm going to run down some of the details about each of them. So, yeah, they're both from the first movie, which came out in 2007. Megatron is going to be $159.99, available September 1st. Jazz is $89.99, available November 1st. Alright, so Megatron, he is 12 inches tall. He has an articulated hands and mouth, so you can open and close his mouth and his hands. They're more like claws. He's got 40.5 grams of die-cast in him. He's got a fusion cannon, a chain whip, and a tiny Allspark cube, which you can open his chest and put it in there if you want to act like you're being Sam and murdering him for one movie. Let's see, he's got a 50-step transformation, which that's kind of up there. Hopefully he'll be a little easier to do than Optimus was. He turns into his Cybertronian jet form. He also has 43 points of articulation. Now Jazz, he's 6 inches tall. He has articulated hands, which are more like gripper claws, because it's like, kind of makes a cross pattern, and his hands kind of look like the claw game that you play, where it drops down and you can try to win a prize, but it's so sensitive that it drops it all the time. But somehow my wife
that is what his hands look like in the movie.
Yeah, somehow my wife can win at those all the time. I don't know, she's good. But yeah, they do look like that in the movie. You are right, Josh. He has a sliding visor. Now, I don't remember if
Does he?
It says he does in the description, but
okay,
I don't
that's
remember
cool.
that doing that in the movie, but maybe it does.
I don't know that he ever did it in the movie that we, at least as an audience, could see.
Right.
But there are promo pictures of him with his visor up.
Oh, maybe that's why they did it, because it was easy to include that. I don't know. He has die-cast, especially in his feet. You can see it. He has his shield weapon. Now, this is funny. He has a button on his back, and you can split him in half at the waist. Then he has the best accessory. You can plug a spine into the bottom of his torso, and it has like little metal-looking crap hanging off of it too, with the spine. And I think that's just it's hilarious, it's accurate, and it's very morbid. So there's that. Megatron or Optimus can hold him when he's in his two pieces. He has 47 points of articulation, which oddly is more than the Megatron has. And he has a tiny Sam Witwicky that's running with the Allspark cube.
They're probably counting his waist.
Probably. Then he can transform in 48 steps, which is kind of a lot for a car. I don't remember how much the MPM3 Bumblebee did, or Barricade, but 48 seems like a lot. And he turns into a hardtop Pontiac Solstice GXP. All right. Well, let's look at some pictures here. Josh, actually, you know what? Drew, you're not the biggest movie fan, so I know you don't like the Megatron very much, but what do you think of Jazz?
Okay, so I'm going to do my best here to be impartial, because
right.
I think Josh thinks I'm picking on him with the movie stuff. This thing looks very nicely painted. Mm-hmm. It looks, in robot mode, it looks very much like it did to me in the movie. Mm-hmm. It's, it's got those feet that do that splayed out everywhere thing, and the little claw grabby hands, and I think it does the job of doing what it's trying to do in robot mode. The car mode has way too many panel lines. Mm-hmm. Just way too many. Unless it tabs in better, the car mode kind of fails.
I'm wondering if it might, like, the panels will close up better. I'm thinking this is like a painted prototype, maybe.
That's possible.
Some of the paint in the like official pictures looks a little unclean.
But there's also, the movie masterpieces are a little more this way in general, because of the fact that nobody thought ahead of time about what their robot modes were going to look like. Nobody like took the panels and tried to make complete panels go into spaces for this reason.
Yeah,
it's like, we're not ever trying to make something that we're going to be able to make accurate toys of, and now that they are, the car modes are what's suffering. But no, I think if this is your thing, then this is a really good representation of Jazz. But at $90, that Studio Series one at Walmart looks pretty good too.
Mm-hmm. It's a little tiny, but yeah, it's not too bad.
Well, everybody says it's a little tiny, but if you've got a Studio Series collection, he's probably about the right size. I don't, I work on cars, and I've been in the area of this particular model enough times to know that it's a tiny little car.
Yeah.
Is
it like Miata size?
It's Miata-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a very small 2-seater sporty car with not much extra outside of, hey, it's got a motor and it handles good. So, that's, I expect him to be small.
All right.
Now, I'm going to jump over into Megatron real quick because I have one thing I want to say.
All right, go ahead.
No, it looks good. It looks accurate. The paintwork looks good. All the little details look good. But do we really have to have 50 steps to transform into something that doesn't look like anything?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a lot.
I don't really understand how. Mm-hmm. And I think I think they know it too, because they only took one picture of that monstrosity. It's a flying penis tank.
It is.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Or
but
it could be a triple one.
Yeah. The detail is very well done, and it all the little features that they have are pretty cool if this is what you're into. So it's just not ever going to be for me, because they look more like metal trees than Transformers.
Yeah, and like, people always say the movie designs, especially the Decepticons, look like a bag of knives or something. And this is like, it's it's accurate to movie 1, but if anything ever looked like a bag of knives that can actually transform, which is an impressive feat, mind you, is this masterpiece Megatron here.
Agreed.
Anyway, I'll have more comments, but I want to hear from Josh. So, Josh, tell us, what do you think of Megatron and Jazz?
Before he starts, which one of y'all's getting this?
I'm getting Megatron for sure. Jazz, probably. I will wait for some kind of price drop.
I will. All right. I like Jazz, and I think I'm in for him as long as he turns out well. Because Ironhide has problems, but I will probably pick up this Jazz off once it's on Amazon Japan, because it will be cheaper than what they're charging in the U.S. So that's my plan, because I don't really want to pay $90 for him, especially if he's a smaller car. That's way too high. But if he's like 75 or something like that or less on Amazon Japan, I'd grab him. So that's my thought there. Because I think I forget what I paid for Barricade off of Amazon Japan, but I want to say it was like 65 or something, which seemed very reasonable. So if Jazz is in that ballpark, I'd grab him off there. Megatron, I'm not totally convinced to get it, because it's not my favorite version of that Megatron, which would be the Dark of the Moon one. I just love that crazy truck mode he has, and I like him with the cloak and all that, as I've mentioned before. But I'm warming up to this one the more I look at it. I just think it's kind of amazing that they made it look accurate in both modes.
Okay, sorry for interrupting, Josh. Go, Josh.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, so, Andrew mentioning Ironhide is actually a good little reminder.
Yeah.
A fair time ago, before Ironhide came out, I said I was definitely getting Masterpiece Ironhide.
Right.
Because he looks beautiful, but he's had so many issues that I've heard of that I'm kind of waiting around to see if either A, the price will go down tremendously, because I know Barricade's gone on sale for like $60 on just regular Amazon.
Yeah.
So if Ironhide takes that much of a price drop, then I'll grab him. Or to see if somebody else, like Legendary Toys, will do a knockoff that solves all his problems, like they did with Optimus.
Yeah, I'm hoping so.
Jazz is the one, barring any sort of issue like that, I'm interested just to fill out the collection, because I have a ton of movie Decepticons, but very few movie Autobots. But this Megatron, I am in love with this figure from what I'm seeing right now. I have no idea how it's going to handle physically. I have no idea how it's going to transform. I'm not bothered by a transformation with lots of steps, as long as they're relatively intuitive and not physically difficult to do. Like, as long as there's not any sort of get in there Revenge of the Fallen Leader Prime moments. I have no trouble sitting there transforming something for 25 minutes to a half an hour. I think this figure just looks absolutely gorgeous. They did an amazing job, as Andrew said, of capturing both modes well. And I will acknowledge, as someone who has had the 2007 figure, the leader class of that Megatron, since very early, like it was one of the first ones I bought when it came out. I understand why it would need a long, complicated transformation because of that old 07 figure. Because in robot mode, he has so much mass that you have to cram into that jet mode that, while looking like a pile of nothing, it's actually got a very streamlined design to it that would be difficult to make that robot get into. So like the whole nose cone section, you can see that it's in lots of little bits unfolding. That's probably like 10 steps right there, just so they could compress it all and hide it somewhere. Those wings have to compress behind his back, and that's an impressive wingspan to do that with. Things like that, that's going to take a lot of steps just to get those bits to hide away. and his legs are so thick that on the 2007 version, they literally just stuck the legs under his wings, destroying aerodynamics entirely. I'm actually really impressed with the solution they seem to have come up with this one, where they take the legs and make that be sort of the center mass of the jet.
Looking at the wings, I find it interesting how there's that part that kind of connects to the tail fins. Like, I just find that the shape of that, how they did that, it's kind of cool looking.
Oh, I see it now.
Yeah, it looks like maybe it tabs in right there. And then is that his head with the big cannon sticking off the front of it?
Yes, that is where his head goes.
Okay, the sex
the
jokes
original
I could
figure had
make
that too.
based off of that are just not even appropriate for our show. Okay.
The original movie figure, the leader one, actually had a panel that covered up his face in vehicle mode, and the way it was designed, you know how movie Megatron had one head design on all the promotional images, and then it was changed in time for the film, but very few promo images came out with the proper head. So the toy was also originally done with that original head design. Even the packaging shots, even the product images on the back of the box had the old head, and that face panel that covers it up in vehicle mode never got remolded. So that panel doesn't cover up his face properly because it's designed to go over the old head. I just think that was a neat little bit of trivia about the figure.
Cool.
All right.
But I'm excited to replace that one.
One thing at that Hasbro China event, they had someone who showed off and there's movies online, you can find video, showing how Jazz can pull apart into two pieces, hitting the button on his back, it separates him and then plugs in the little spine piece, so it looks relatively easy to do that, and I thought that was funny. The pictures at that Hasbro event, it's weird because they had weird lighting going on, on Megatron, and it just, a lot of the pictures, it made him look like he wasn't painted. Like, it just made him look like the gray was just plastic, but there's been some other pictures that don't have that weird light on them, and you can see that he's actually, very silver and looks nice, and he's very painted. So that's good to know. All right. Any other thoughts on either of these two guys?
No.
Gimme.
Okay. Well, I've already said my opinion, so yep, we'll go on. All right. So.
Oh, I'm happy about the articulated hands on Megatron. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Because I know he's got some really funky looking hands, and I'm really glad that they were able to actually realize that very well in plastic.
They had to make him able to hold on to Jazz's crotch and shoulders so he could do the proper rip.
All right. Well.
Yes. Thank you for making me think of Megatron grabbing Jazz's crotch.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, our next news item we're gonna skip over because there's an update on TFW saying none of it is true. So
oh no,
we're not gonna read that. It was it was
back.
possible Studio Series Wave 7 and 8, and they updated it and said, well, hope you took it with a grain of salt because it's confirmed to be fake. So not even going to read that. So happy I looked at that before just reading it. But next up, we have something that is real. War for Cybertron Siege Leader Class Galaxy Force Optimus Prime. And wow, that's a mouthful. Man. So anyway, this is a repaint / remold / there's some new stuff going on of the Siege Ultra Magnus. And they turned
partial tool is what they're calling it.
Yeah, partial tool. That's right.
You're
that
a
is
complete
right.
tool, okay?
And Tool's next album is supposedly coming out in April. Let's hope that's not an April Fool's gag.
Take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, well, they did say that the vocals and instrumentation's all done, so we'll see when it comes out. It's been 13 years since 10,000 days. We'll see. Anyway, so yeah, it has a robot that looks very similar to the white Optimus Prime that comes with, or the white Magnus figure, that's not armored up, that comes with Ultra Magnus, but the chest is completely different. The arms have kind of these wheel slash maybe gun looking things on the side, so that's definitely different.
It's the rail guard thingies
that go on the front of the truck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes me wonder what's on his back, because Ultra Magnus, the white Prime, has what ends up being that blue front part of the truck, like the front bumper ends up on his back. But here, if this Optimus has what ends up on the front bumper on his arms, makes me wonder what's on his back, if anything. That's interesting.
Probably the window chest.
Yeah, the fake chest. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
unless that's in the trailer somewhere, which it could very well be.
Yeah, I would think that's in the trailer, because the armor chest for Ultra Magnus has the combined mode head on it as well, and it clips on over the chest on Ultra Magnus. So I'm guessing that ends up being like the roof or something of the truck mode, like the whole big combined truck mode. So he looks pretty cool as a truck and as a robot. Like the truck mode has what is that, like giant hose gun things? Is he like a giant fire engine based vehicle or what?
Space fire engine.
Space fire engine, okay. So yeah,
flying fire engine.
Flying
or
space fire engine.
It's a fire truck with big giant cannons, as Scattershot put it.
All right.
Because that's inconspicuous.
Mm-hmm.
No, literally,
Right.
they actually had
That's
Optimus
funny.
and Scattershot actually had a little sequence where Optimus is like, a tank. You scanned a tank, and Scattershot responds something along the lines of, "Oh, sure, because a fire truck with giant cannons on top of it doesn't stand out at all."
But yeah, he does have.
I love that dubbing team.
How does this truck mode compare? His truck mode and his robot mode. How do they compare to the original cartoon or toys? Like, what do you guys think of that? Because I've seen images, but those aren't shows I watched.
I can tell what it is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But like you, I'm not that familiar with it. So, Josh?
All right. So, the truck mode, yes.
Yeah.
That looks right.
Mm-hmm.
The robot mode is where it gets a little wonky.
All right.
I'm guessing because of the shared tooling with Ultra Magnus, they've done a really wonky cheat with the truck parts. Because on the original, the front of the truck, the windshield and the headlights and all that, that splits up and goes on his shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, he still has that as his chest. And so for the super mode, it looks like they've got just the fake halves of the front of the cab just stuck over his shoulders from, I guess they come from the trailer somewhere, and then the window chest is also fake, which is just odd. And on the Cybertron one, the window chest was sort of fake, but they were still actual parts from the vehicle mode. They were just kind of oddly shaped side windows that folded over his chest. So like they've definitely got the look of him down,
Yeah.
but the whole transformation scheme is very different and very bizarre. You can even see bits of the real truck mode sticking out under the window chest,
Mm-hmm.
and it just looks odd to me.
Yeah.
I love that they're doing this homage to the original. I never for a second believed that this was a thing that was going to happen, despite everyone saying, "Oh, this is an obvious retool from this Magnus mold." I never bought it. That would happen, and I'm really happy that it is happening, because it's showing that there is this love for it, that, oh yeah, people who grew up with this, or that at least that worked on it, now have nostalgia for it, and that's kind of cool for me, because I have nostalgia for it. But all that said, I don't think this can top the original, honestly. I think the only thing that could top the original is something that follows the original transformation scheme, the original actual physical design, and just adds to it, adds more articulation. Honestly, that's really the only thing I think can be improved, is the articulation, maybe the mechanism of the head.
So I like, while I see what you're saying, I think this is the closest you're going to get to that.
Yeah, and if that's the closest I'm going to get to it, all right, I'll keep the original. Like, I don't think this is better.
All right.
More posable, sure, but it just doesn't have the same look.
What I find interesting about this whole thing is that the comic that's due to come out is using this Optimus Cap.
Yes.
Design. That's odd.
That is. Because I was expecting them to use like the Voyager Siege figure as Optimus Prime in the comic, but on the cover, some of the covers they've shown, it is the inner robot for this figure. It looks just like that. So very interesting.
And spinning off of that, I remember when Sarah Peter Dirichey's cover featuring this inner robot, regular, whatever you want to call it, the smaller, the normal robot mode Optimus Prime. When that cover first came out, first, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Second, there were a few people who looked at it and thought some of the proportions were a little wonky, and like drew attention to the positioning of his head on his body,
that does
and thought that his head was too far back.
Well,
hey, look at this toy. Look where his head is on that torso. It's that far back. That's not, and I'm really happy to see that.
Yeah.
For Sarah's sake, like, when people pointed out, I said, yeah, that does look odd. I didn't say it publicly, but well, there you go. She did it deliberately. So I'm really happy to see that, she knows what she's doing. That's not something that we amateurs could have done better. And I hesitate to even say that as a thing, because it's one thing to point out a, air quotes, flaw in a professional's art. It's another thing to act like you could do it better. So, anyone who called out Sarah for that should apologize.
I take it there was a bit of drama over this.
No, I never got the sense that there was drama over it.
Because
I just
pointed
saw
it
a
out
couple
too,
of posts
the head looks
commenting
funky
on it.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I remember kind of feeling bad for her, like, yeah, I see it. But I don't want to think badly of Sarah's art, because she's a wonderful person and I love her art. And so I'm just happy to see that, this was a deliberate choice, because that's what this design looks like.
And you can even see in the little black and white picture of the inner Prime here that the head is off to the side, and that, that's an actual CG render of it. So if they, it's slightly turned to the side, so I'm like, if it's majorly turned to the side, that's going to make that head be off center even more. So I could see how Sarah maybe, got I don't know if she got a figure of it to draw off of, or pictures of one and based it off that, or what. But yeah, I could.
Honestly, I believe that this photo that we're seeing was her reference shot.
Okay.
I think you could be correct.
Yeah.
I think mirror it, and that's pretty much the general angle that he's standing at in the cover, if I recall correctly.
All right, and that would make sense then.
What's going to be a thing for me to see on this is, because at the moment I don't want this.
Yeah.
But
neither do I.
With them using this design for the comic, if the arm things detach to make it look even that much more like the comic,
Uh-huh.
I might say, "Oh, I want to pick this up so I can have a comic accurate representation on the shelf."
Yeah.
Yeah,
That makes
that's
sense.
something I would echo. Actually, is if
Especially
If
since
the whole-
they seem to be doing this based on toys this time, which is something that makes sense instead of trying and make toys of impossible figures because they look cool in the comic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
and we should see more of this figure at Toy Fair, as well as some future stuff from Siege or whatever's after Siege. I don't know. Probably see more Omega Supreme. Yeah, we'll see some of that there. That'll be cool. All right, let's go on to the next topic if we're all done with
sure.
this ridiculously named thing. All right, so
oh yeah, I'm curious to see whether he'll have the Galaxy Force name on the figure,
yeah, that will be interesting to see.
or if it's just gonna be Optimus Prime.
And I want to see in the comic, is he going to be all armored up like this at some point? And will he ever look like the Voyager as well? I'm just very curious.
Didn't know how much that the Beast Hunters Optimus Prime took from this either.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing
Yeah,
this,
that
I can
does.
see just how much of an influence that other one was on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. So next
Actually,
up,
moving on now.
we have Ocular Max Perfection Series. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. Frado, which is AKA Swindle.
Oh, I get it now.
Oh, explain it then.
Cause
Fraud.
Yeah.
Oh, duh.
Because he's a fraud.
Yeah. Okay, that makes
And it
sense.
kind of sounds like Frodo, too.
It does. But Frodo was a good dude. But, so, we got pictures of their unpainted prototype. We got the leg mode, the bot mode, and then some comparisons to the Unique Toys and Zeta, which are finished versions that are actually out, versus this unpainted prototype, which isn't done yet. So I'm going to click these links so I can talk about it with y'all. Alright, so looking at the bot mode, has a pretty accurate looking head compared to the cartoon. You know, pretty cool looking. Things that a lot of people have pointed out, you know, because they didn't realize it was a unpainted prototype. The chest has this weird H-shaped purple part on it, like a sideways H, or maybe a big wide eye that's in purple, and it just kind of throws it off a bit because it's not painted all the way. The waist looks like it would be the front of the Jeep or Hummer, whatever his alt mode's supposed to be, and that's unpainted, so that looks weird too. Then
I think it's the back, actually.
I don't know. You might
Because
be
it
right.
doesn't look like the actual front of the truck mode
Oh yeah,
when I'm
you're
looking
right.
at
Never
the front.
mind. Yeah, you're correct. Yeah. So
Or
that's
it's a
the back.
false part in general.
Yeah. Either
Or that,
way,
yeah.
then the
Yeah, you're right. It's a false part. I just saw a pic of the back, and the back doesn't look like that either.
oh, okay, cool. But
All right, whatevs.
then his upper chest is the windshield, but when you look at the pictures of like the CG that they showed before, like the border of it is all painted. So there's a lot of things throwing off the look about this, but you know, the bot mode, oh yeah, it's nice articulated hands and a little gun, but yeah, some things that are bothering me with this, and you know, after getting their Azalea figure, the exclusive one, I'm like, oh cool. Well, I have their Sphinx figure, which is their Mirage, which I really like, and then the new Azalea is really cool. So, you know, I've been rooting for them lately, and to me, this is a bit off. Maybe it will look better painted, but I just feel like something's just not right here. What do you guys think of this bot mode for them?
Yuck.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We're talking about Ocular Max, right? OX.
Yeah, Ocular Max
Okay,
Swindle.
yeah, no.
That's part of the combiner they're doing. That's like an
Send-
all-in-one transformation.
Send him home.
All right. I like the whatever his car mode is. I think looks decent. I don't think it's wonderful, but I think it's decent. It does what it needs to. The feet on the robot look kind of weird. Like I don't know why, but in the pictures, it's like the ankle tilts aren't being used as much as they should be. For his stances. In some pics, they look like they are, and others they're not. By the way, he's just a smidgen shorter than Masterpiece Shockwave. Like about a head shorter. Because his head goes up to the top.
About a head taller than Sunstreaker looks like.
Yeah. So he's a tall dude. I think the leg mode looks fine, which is how most people would have him. But the robot mode has really stumpy looking thighs. Like they just look too short and too thin. And then like below his knee, the legs get really wide. And that just throws it off a bit for me. And I just don't know that it's going to look better when it's in color. Looks like it's pretty well articulated because they have him doing some like side kicks, which is kind of cool. But yeah,
And he can stand on one leg and kick, so that's cool.
Yeah. Yes, he can. So that is cool.
And that's a prototype doing that, so that's impressive.
Yeah, that is. But let me see. Let me look at his leg mode, where he turns into a leg. It's kind of cool. I don't know if they transformed it all the way correctly, because it's probably missing some refinement that it needs. But that looks cool. And the way they did the ankle tilts is interesting. It's like the feet come together, the robot mode ones, and there's these weird like slidey joints above them that allow it to have side to side ankle tilt. Kind of really weird how that works. And I think on Shattered Cast Uncut that I listened to, they were talking about how there's these kind of kidney bean shaped slider joints with screws in them and washers.
Yeah,
and
I see them.
They're thinking, the ankle tilt might wear out over time because of how it has to move through there. So they're not sure how good of a joint that's going to be over the long haul, which that's understandable, and I can see their concern there for sure.
It's Andrew, it's not long haul, it's swindle.
Oh, my bad. I was waiting for someone to comment on that. But, I think it's impressive engineering, but might not be the best way to do that.
It's kind of ugly, too.
Yeah.
I mean, unless there's some kind of little caps going to go over that or something, but it's like screws with big holes, and it's like obvious what's going on there, and it's a little bit... Kind of takes me out of it a little bit.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. And I think this figure at the moment is a case of it looked better as a render. Because below all the pictures of leg mode, there's the render. And I'm like, wow, I wish it looked like that. But it just doesn't right now. And that's just weird to me. Yeah.
Well, then stand it up stock straight like a boring person, Andrew.
Then the comparison pics with Unique Toys and Zeta. A lot of people love how the Unique Toys one looks. They think it's more accurate to the cartoon, and I can see that. Just the Unique Toys one, and I know my opinion differs from a lot of people. It's just something looks really off about it to me, and part of it is the colors. I just think they should have used different colors. Maybe brightened them up a little bit, maybe. But I don't know. Like, that one looks okay to me. Then the Zeta has a great head, but his robot mode is kind of too bulky.
Well, that's because they made him a Hummer.
Ah. Okay.
Like, they made him like a vehicle that's like double the amount of boxy.
I see that. Yeah.
Did you say double the amount of boxity?
Boxy. I said
Yep.
double the amount of boxy.
Okay.
But
Boxy.
yeah,
Okay.
same thing. It's so boxy. It's cubed.
Yeah. And then the Unique Toys has a really nice looking Jeep mode, actually. That looks great.
Really?
You don't like
Unique
the Unique
Toys?
Toys one?
Yeah, that's the best Jeep here.
I'm looking at it, and all I can see is that stupid windshield.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that... Okay,
Like,
I see that. That does look a little
What?
weird. But otherwise, that's pretty good. Yeah, because that... Like, all that mass below the actual, like, window, I feel like that should be a lot less. But otherwise, that looks pretty good.
No. What was bugging me is like the rounded hood,
Uh-huh.
and then
It
the
sticks
squared
off
off
of the
windshield. It's just what? That just looks off.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying there, yeah.
It looks like they stuck a windshield from a completely different car on there.
Uh-huh. I see what you're saying there. I do like that there's actual seats, though. That's pretty cool.
Looks like MMC's got seats too.
Yeah,
They even stuck a little dude in them.
yeah, I see that. That's cool. I'm wondering if the MMC one's going to have rubber tires or not, because I can't tell if they are or not in that picture. They look more plasticky, but hard to say. But, yeah, I don't think any of us are all that impressed with the Ocular Max Swindle at the moment. Maybe things will improve with some tweaks and some colors, but we'll have to see. Anyway,
Hang on. Josh has an opinion on a G1 Masterpiece style figure.
okay, go ahead, buddy.
Besides just, yeah, it's cool, I guess. I don't want it.
Uh-huh.
Actually, no, that is my opinion. Ultimately, it's cool, I guess. I don't want it. But I actually vividly disagree with you guys on pretty much every point.
Wow.
I
All right.
I actually really like the lower legs.
Uh-huh.
I think they're characterful and chunky.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I do not like about this figure is that a fake wheel on his shoulder, and I think he should have a smile or a smirk.
I agree with that, and yeah, those are fake wheels on his shoulders, I'm pretty sure.
But I'm really intrigued by this idea to have that all-in-one transformation, and the fact they appear to be pulling it off.
Yeah.
Like, that is my ideal combiner. That's why I loved Hercules when he first came out, was that most of it was all self-contained. The only thing that wasn't was one fist. And even that, you could stick off the back of one of the vehicles in a stupid-looking way. But, like, X-Graver, which was their scavenger, had that functionality where the fist was built into the back of the vehicle mode. And I like that these guys are going even further in that direction of actually having all of the combiner parts like as internal mechanics of the separate robot and vehicle modes.
So you like this, and what I thought about it, exactly my thoughts on it were, it looks like a Unicron trilogy figure.
That!
Aha.
You're right.
That's funny.
It does.
Which means it's not good to me, and it's great for you.
Yeah, it's that's what those legs remind me of. It's a very Unicron trilogy-esque aesthetic. But to me, that's what Transformers have always been. That's what I grew up on.
Very interesting.
I'm surprised you guys aren't in love with the Zeta toys with all these boxes, you G1ers.
No, that
that's
doesn't look
just-
anything like him.
Yeah, that's the problem. And that's another thing. It's like Ocular Max has... It's weird. It's like sometimes they go more G1, sometimes they go more for the Ocular Max art, sometimes they do like a blended kind of style, and I'm like, I'm not sure what they're going for with this Swindle, because it doesn't... It's like sort of G1-ish, but not all the way, and then it's like... Yeah, I just don't know where they're getting all this style from. Like,
Here's what I think they're doing.
Yeah.
I think specifically for these Combaticons, I think they're just saying, okay, let's just make some Combaticons.
yeah, that's what it seems
I don't think they're
like.
going for any specific design aesthetic. I think they're just making the team and making it look like a coherent team and making it all integrated.
Like I think their Vortex looks pretty fantastic, and I think Onslaught looks decent, looks pretty good. So this one not as much, but they got another 2 to show off, so maybe those 2 will be great. And sad to see Swindle might not be as good as the others, but since it's a prototype, give it some time. They may improve things. All right, let's move on to the next topic, because I think we've talked about that enough, and this one we're probably going to have a lot to say. So, yeah. So there's a designer named Rick Acker, and several years ago he designed an IDW Fort Max. Now, from what I've read and gathered from what he's put online, he said MMC, he showed this to them and they passed on it because they said, well, there's Perfect Effect Warden. We're not sure if as many people are going to be interested in, another IDW-based Fortress Maximus when that one exists and people seem pretty happy with it, and plus this would be really tall and expensive to make. Well, now he showed off, his designs for it online, and it's really amazing. It has even has like the decapitation panels on the shoulders, articulated hands with spread in the fingers, Drew. He's got a super duper deep knee bend, and as you bend the knee, there's a panel that collapses on the side, which is really impressive looking and reminds me of like a Gundam or the way Flame Toys does things. So now he's kind of seeing who's interested, and there's like a bunch of surveys around to ask, what you think of it. We'll get to those. But it seems like I don't know if MMC is the one who's interested, but someone's interested in making it. We just don't know who. Could be Planet X. It could be MMC again. But whoever it is said basically they would expect it to cost about $230 due to the die cast, complexity, features, and size. Because this thing is very close to the size of MMC's Carnifex. That's their Overlord figure, and that's a big MFer. So very large. There's a poll on TFW, another on Twitter with more options, basically asking, are you interested in this or not? The one on Twitter had more options like, oh yeah, I'd buy this right now. I'd buy it, but not for $230, which is what they predicted the cost to be. That's what I picked because I think they can get it $200 or less. Similar price to Carnifex, I think would be ideal. So let's see. And that's, This guy on TFW, Calabasks, he said, I'm going to echo the $180 range. I forgot what Carnifex cost, but he was complex and split into 2 separate entities, so this doesn't seem like it should hit the $230 mark. Lazy Aza, Aaron Betts, as we know him, he responded to that guy and he said, well, this guy is quite a bit more intricate than Carnifex. It has more parts and more than double the amount of articulation range. Never mind the 3 enormous rifles, all of which can be stored on the tank or the self-compressing panels that move in reaction to articulation like an actual fictional Transformer character's bodyworks. You only see that kind of engineering on non-transforming toys typically, or the likes of high-end Gundam model kits. So basically what I said earlier, Flame Toys or Gundams. So let's look at this guy and give our opinions here. So, let's see. We'll go with Josh, because we let Drew go first earlier. So, Josh, what do you think of this giant, really awesome looking Fortress Maximus?
Don't care how, I want it now.
I hear ya.
This is one of the most amazing feats of engineering I've seen so far, and I say that having not really seen the engineering. But just all of the articulation that all of the articulation that Acker's shown off is astonishing. The fact that it's got all of these elements worked in and also transforms into a thing.
Yeah.
It's not something I ever would have expected to see. Particularly and he pointed out being really proud of the ab crunch and how it makes the little ab circle thing move.
Yeah, that
like watching the animation of that, it looks like you're just kind of cheating and having the thing clip through itself and squish itself. But the more you look at it, the more you realize, no, actually panels are moving logically.
Yes.
And that really impressed me. That knee bend is really is simple but very effective and very clever. I didn't even believe that those hands had any sort of articulation. I thought it was just MMC's typical, single finger, everything else is pinned together dealio, and then he showed an animation of, oh, I see how it works now.
Yeah.
So he's done a really good job of having that sort of aesthetic of toy fist and then adding articulation onto it that I really love. The decapitation panels are a silly little detail that's so cute. Yeah, this thing really looks and poses like those Flame Toys figures and also turns into something.
Yes.
I mean, okay, he turns into a brick with treads and lots and lots and lots of guns, but that's what IDW Max is supposed to turn into from what little we've seen of it. And I actually went back and looked at the panels that we've seen his vehicle mode. Oh, yeah, that's what it looked like.
Yeah.
We don't get a very good glimpse of it, but from that little glimpse, Acker's done an amazing job of actually putting together something coherent. It would have working treads. Gimme.
I mean, it's all renders. Who knows how much of that can actually be realized in plastic? I'm sure that people that realize renders in plastic know that, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't know how much of it they can actually do within the space of what's there. I think it's great that he's put that much attention to detail into this project, but I also think he's like expecting that people are going to pay the extra for the caviar when most people want a Big Mac. That all aside, it's really, really impressive. And the vehicle mode looks like the G.I. Joe Rolling Thunder. No, the General. The General. That's the name of that one. It looks like the damn General.
I say as if I know what that is.
Right, but it looks like it's referencing something. All it needs
look
is
up the General to see this thing. Oh, there it is.
All it needs is a helicopter to land on it. But
it does kind of look like that a bit. Yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, wow, look at that.
But
I see that.
I'm really, really impressed with what he's done. But I also think for somebody to make this, they might have to simplify some things.
And to comment on that, yeah, with a lot of people seem to have that same opinion that I had, where it's like, that'd be a bit much at $230. Maybe you could simplify a couple things, change a couple things, get it down to like the Carnifex price point. That would be better. So certain things, like people said, it would be, while it's cool that he has like rubber treads that actually work, they're like, if rubber breaks down over time, so if you made them plastic treads and then just had like the little wheels, little tiny wheels in there, so that they would actually roll without being a working tread, that would be better. It would save some money, save some engineering, get costs down as well, and be something that would last longer. So
I don't know. I don't know how it would compare price wise, but look at is it Toyworld's Devastator that has that's that massive one that has working treads, but they're plastic, not rubber.
Yeah,
and they're actual links.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, like
that might be another way to go. Again, I don't know whether that would be cheaper or more expensive. I can kind of see how it might be more expensive, but again, I don't know these things.
I want to say someone suggested that, and he did point out that would be more expensive somehow.
Well, there's that, and there's also this whole idea of, does a character the size of Fort Max need a knee that bends all the way down into a kneeling position like that? Yeah. Does this character, or is that necessary for this transformation that he's got? Which I'm looking at, and I think it might be. And when I started formulating this thought, I hadn't quite thought of that yet. So, there's places where they could still get this out and shave some of the excess off of it and make it at a price where people would buy it.
I agree, because I really want this thing. Like, I have Warden. That was one of my first third-party figures I bought, and he looks great, but I've had him in a box, packed up, because he kind of doesn't totally fit in with my collection anymore. Like, he's amazing, and I want to sell him, actually, just because I don't have him out, and he doesn't fit in as much anymore. And then I'm kind of hoping this one will actually get made. One feature that he said he might get rid of to save money would be those decapitation panels. I think he said if he gets rid of those, he can have a little bit extra arm articulation, I think. Something like that. But, we'll have to see. Or he might come up with a different way to do the panels. Things like that. So, like any figure that gets produced, I'm sure there will be some changes compared to the render, just to make it be an actual physical product and keep within certain costs and all that. But yeah,
at the same time, if I was looking at this as something to buy, the reasons I'd want to buy it is all this cool stuff that's packed into it.
Yeah.
So I've kind of it's kind of a toss up. I mean, I'm not in this market for sure. Mm-hmm. Even if he gets it down to 180, I'm not in this market.
Yeah, it's still a lot, but I would, I'd be more interested in this. Like, yeah, Max is not my favorite character or anything, but I liked him a lot in IDW, and to have him on the shelf, like, fighting, the Carnifex figure, and them being matched up pretty well, like they were in IDW, that'd be kind of cool. I would enjoy that, and I would also enjoy the engineering on this guy. I like stuff like that. All right, let me just see if there's any recent comments from the designer in the thread real quick before I move on. Let's see.
And as Drew was saying that he's not in the market for this guy, I am. Like, this is what my collection is. And I've seen Warden. I've spent a lot of time researching that figure and looking into it, and yeah, he looks okay. But honestly, Warden doesn't really do it for me as an IDW Fortress Maximus. I think he's missing too much of the design aesthetic, which this has. The biggest thing for me with Warden is Warden doesn't have guns in his legs unless you buy the upgrade kit, and even then, those guns in his legs look a little silly.
Yeah.
And Warden's kind of short. Mm-hmm. Like, Warden's what? Like a roughly Voyager size? Like, nah, he should be leadery.
Leadery.
Mm-hmm.
I think Warden's comparable in height to maybe like Generations Brainstorm.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Rick Acker, he showed like some of the poll results from Monday, so this is a few days ago, and at the time, 38% of people said they would buy it, but not for $230. 33% said yes, they would buy it. 19% said maybe. 10% said no, they're not interested. So,
and realistically, you can half all of those percentages because people like to talk, and go with the fact that maybe 15% of people would buy it at the regular $230. Which means there's a market for it, but it's not a huge market for it at that price.
Yep. But we'll see what happens here. I'm very interested. If maybe we can reach out to him, see if he wants to talk to us, do a little interview or something. That would be cool. Also, I have a little image in our document that has his render right next to Alex Milne art of Fort Max, and you can definitely see that it is a very similar to the artwork. Not exact, but really similar, really close. I'm not sure how much closer you could get without driving the cost through the roof and still have it be a physical product, you know?
Well, I'm hesitant to say this, but the fact that it's a little less lanky than the actual art is kind of a bit of an improvement.
Okay, I can see that too, yeah.
It's that works on the page and is he took Alex's style a little bit out of it, which gives him the opportunity to make his own thing while still referencing that, and I think it's great. I think it's fine that way.
I tuned out a little bit because I've been flipping through the TFW thread where Acker's actually talking about this, and specifically he's talking about the pricing. He was personally shooting for $200. The $230 is an estimate from the producer that he's currently in contact with, and he is currently rethinking the size. Originally, the idea was 11 inches tall, but he's trying to figure out if dropping him down to 10.5 to 10 inches might drop the cost a little bit. And also, there are a lot of people online saying, this almost looks a little bit too big. Yeah. And he also points out that the scale was really hard to figure out because there's actually very limited straight size comparison within the panels of the comics.
Yeah, I don't think he's actually as big as Carnifex.
No, I would agree with you too.
Judging
sure
by
he's shorter than Overlord,
how much room they take up and how easy it is for Overlord to step on people, I think he's a little smaller. Yeah, in reality. So.
Yeah, and shrinking them down a little bit would definitely save on the cost. Yep.
And if they did it without diecast, that'd save on the cost too. I know a lot of people are crazy about that, but it doesn't affect me either way as to whether or not I'm going to get something.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. It can be nice, but like Carnifex doesn't have any diecast in him, and he's still awesome and works really well. So if that saves too and lets him still look as good, why not?
In fact, I think when it has diecast, I'm less inclined to mess with it.
Oh, wow.
Because of paint scratching and
paint scratching is
floppiness that happens.
Like my Fans Toys Cyclonus figure, I did end up with a little bit of paint scratch on the lower part of the chest. You can't really see it unless you turned him upside down and looked at it in the light, but he did get a little scratch there, and I'm like, that's unfortunate that happened, but I'm happy it's in a place that you can't really see it too well.
Right.
So yeah, that's a valid thing there. We interrupt this podcast to bring you the latest on Mastermind Creations' reformatted R50 Supermax. Hello everyone, I come with some breaking news. It seems that since our podcast was recorded, Planet Steel Express on their Facebook page has put up what's basically is a crowdfunding effort to get reformatted R50 Supermax made. So, if you go to their Facebook page, there's a big post about it, but you can go to www.planetsteelexpress.com/R50 token, and you can pay what amounts to about $50. It's 400 Hong Kong dollars, whatever their money is called. I'm not sure if it's yen or something else, but 400 HK, which is about $50 USD. And you can put that down as a deposit on R50. So, Planet Steel Express basically said, due to the overwhelming response to Rick Acker's fantastic design, we have decided to work with MMC to help make this a reality. So it is MMC that wants to make this figure, after all, not Planet X. Supermax will be 11 inches tall. It's going to have die cast, new levels of articulation previously unseen on the market, double jointed elbows and knees, an ab crunch, shoulder butterfly joints, individual fingers, toe tilts, and way more. And they tell you go, look at all the animations we were just talking about. So they want 800 backers, and it's going to be a non-refundable deposit of about $50 to bring the project to life. They expect the final price to be about $230. One thing about their non-refundable thing, in the post later they said, if we do not reach our backer goal, we'll refund your money. So they're basically saying, if this is happening, your $50, you can't get that back, but it will go toward the final price. Alright, so they also said they're going to guarantee that you'll get the lowest price on this. So it's possible that the price of it will go below $230, which is 1,800 HK. All right, so keep that in mind. If they're able to get 1,200 backers in the 30 days that the crowdfunding's going on, they will drop the price to 1,569 HK, which is $200 even. And that's their estimate. It could be less, but that could happen. So, if you're a backer, you're going to get some extras, which is nice. You'll get the exclusive collector's packaging, which is only for the first 800 supporters. You get an exclusive Supermax face sculpt for all supporters, an exclusive rifle for all supporters. So I guess we only get just the packaging is special. I'm not sure what that means, but we'll have to see. But sounds like all backers will get, a face sculpt and a rifle. All right, so here's the thing where they say all deposits will be refunded in full if backer numbers not met. If we get 1,200 backers in the 30-day period, the final price will drop to $200. All right, it's going to take about 12 months from prototyping to initial release. PSX will work with MMC to provide updates, which will be posted to Facebook and the PSX blog. Here's their projected timeline for Supermax. So, they're going to put out backer statistic numbers every Monday, if not more often, until the campaign ends in 30 days. So today's Monday, February 4th, when I'm recording this breaking news, and they put up a post this morning that said they had about 145 backers. So in a couple days, they're at about 150. That's really good. I bet they will reach their 800 goal at least. We'll have to see if they make it to 1,200 or so. More on that in a second. So, they expect a prototype in April. A second prototype, if necessary, in May, and knowing MMC, it will be. They like to tweak things and improve things. Color design in June. Test shot 1 in August. Test shot 2 in October. Test shot 3 in November. Pre-production sample in December. And the final product a year from now in February of 2020. So if you put down your $50 now, a lot of people, including me, asked Planet Steel Express, well, when do we have to pay the rest of the figure off? And they said, when it is finalized and ready to ship, you will pay for it then. So that gives you almost a year to save up the rest of that money. So that's pretty good. So there's that. And MMC takes their time getting a figure right. I know I'm a fanboy, so, I'm going to talk them up a bit. But I have a ton of their products. They're all very solid. And when I've had an issue with something on them, they have always sent me a part or helped me out somehow. And in fact, I just had to write them about something. So we'll see what they say. But there is that. So if you're in for Supermax, PlanetSteelExpress.com/R50 token. And that's really awesome this is happening. All right, back to the podcast. All right, let's go on to the next topic. So we have new official images of the X-Men Marvel Legends Caliban wave. So this is in-box and loose. So this wave, again, we've talked about it before, but now we have really good pictures of it. This includes Beast, Gambit, Forge, Jubilee, Weapon X, Blink, Skullbuster, and the Build-A-Figure is Caliban. So let's take some looks here. So, yeah, Beast still looks awesome to me. Has some new some new articulation joints where his kind of the upper torso / chest can rock side to side, forward, back, all that. So that adds some dimension to him, which I like. Yeah, he looks really big, which I like too, and painted nicely. I do wish he has like a yelling looking face where he's going like "Rah!" But I kind of wish he had just a normal pleasant looking face, maybe one with his glasses. So I do wish they did that, but I'm still happy with what I see here. Even has his yellow belt with the X logo on it. And they show him they have him pose where he's balancing on one hand that's kind of flat on the ground, and that's impressive that he can actually balance like that.
If he can.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he can. His hands look pretty big. I bet he can do that, is my guess. Let's see. So it looks like he's got a flat hand, a fist, kind of a claw, open claw hand, and then a gripping looking hand, even though he doesn't have anything to grip. Alright, Blink still looks pretty cool. She's got her pink skin with the kind of darker pink reddish, I don't know if it's paint or just some marks on her face that she has. Has a green outfit, and then has some effects with it. Looks like she has like these, I don't know if they're like energy shards or something, energy swords. And then there's an effect part that looks like the portal she can make. So that's pretty cool looking. I like her face sculpt a lot. That's really nice. Then they have a picture of Caliban all together. I really don't remember that character. So he looks really huge, though. He's got like a red and white outfit. Is he part of Alpha Flight or something? I don't know.
I thought Caliban was that short little wimpy albino dude with Logan.
Yeah,
what?
This might be some different version of him. I don't know. I don't remember... I just don't remember Caliban looking like that. Let me look. Yeah, he has looked short and skinny. I'm trying to see, but apparently he's been around a while, so he's grown up a bit. I don't know. I'd have to go through the wiki, and that's going to take too long. But the bath looks good. I'm just not familiar with this version of Caliban. All right, then we have Forge, and he looks really awesome. He's got his his right leg is metal. He's got a holster for a gun. I'm trying to see. Okay, yeah, that actually is a gun that can go in there, so it's not just a molded in one. He has a little silver gun, then a big kind of darker silver gun, and he has his cowboy boots on with the tassels, which is funny to me. What?
Wow.
Yeah, well, that is accurate. He's very, very 70s, 80s looking. And he's got a red bandana on, and his little 80s porn stash, which is accurate. And then his kitchen-looking gloves are on, too. But as weird as he might look, that is accurate. He's kind of a time traveler or gets stuck in time, if I remember, from the X-Men cartoon. So that's pretty cool. I like what I see there, even though he does look silly. Then Gambit just looks freaking badass. I love how that looks. It's it's him straight out of the 90s. Straight out of the comics or cartoon. He's got his big metal boots on. They're kind of like a bluish silver, metallic looking. The purple on his torso is very metallic looking. He's got his big trench coat. He's got his big bow staff. His silly swayed to the side haircut that sticks up. He has a gripping hand that can hold the staff. Then he has a hand that's kind of holding a card that's lit up with energy between two fingers. Or he has a hand that's throwing out 3 cards with a big swooshy effect. So that's pretty cool. I like how they did that. And his eyes do look red, which is accurate. Looking forward to that. Jubilee is one of the standouts here, as is Gambit. So Jubilee, we've talked about this before, but she just looks awesome here. See the final product, has her little jean shorts on, her pink shirt. Then is wearing her April O'Neil yellow trench coat with her green kitchen-looking gloves and her, light blue kitchen gloves with her light blue little booties on. And she just looks super accurate. She has her short black haircut and her pink see-through translucent sunglasses on. And then there's another head that has the same thing, except she's blowing a bubble with bubble gum, and I believe her glasses can be removed. So that's cool too. That reminds me.
She really does look like she's about to go clean the lab or something, though.
She does, but even though that's funny, that is what she looked like in the 90s. So
I'm not saying it isn't. I just think I just think it's kind of funny that there's multiple instances of rubber kitchen gloves here.
Oh yeah, there are. But for me, I grew up watching that X-Men cartoon and reading the comics, and she was all up in there, and I'm like, man, I just love this because it looks like the 90s, and that's what I want. Like good old Jim Lee Jubilee. All right, next up is Skullbuster, and I have to be honest, I don't remember this character. I don't know who he is, but he does look cool. He has kind of the metal arms and legs, kind of like a Colossus would have, or Cable. So looks kind of cool there. He's got a big skull design on his head with red eyes and almost like a lightning bolt or crack on part of the head. That's cool. He has some other head that comes with him. I don't know if that's to make a different version of him or a different character, but it's his head that has this weird like translucent helmet and a
Microphone.
Yeah, like a microphone with giant earphones on the side. So I'm not sure what's up with that, but that's probably someone. But the Skullbuster figure has a big Uzi-looking gun with a scope on it. Then big shoulder pads. One of them kind of looks like maybe it was a hubcap at some point. The other one's just a bunch of spikes. And then he has a, what are those called? The bunch of big belt of bullets around his chest.
Bandolier.
Thank you, a bandolier. I couldn't remember the name. Bandolier.
The dude in the translucent helmet?
Yeah.
Looks like the character from that show RD likes so much with the Galaxy Rangers.
Oh, yeah. It does look like that.
I mean, it's not, but...
Yeah, I know what you mean there.
RD's here in spirit.
Mm-hmm. All right, so next up we have Weapon X. So this is this is literally Logan when he was, being experimented on and turned into, Weapon X. So he has a yelling head with his hair all long and crazy. Then he has the other one where he has like the weird looking metal helmet on with the red visor. And he's got all kinds of red tubes connected to weird devices, and he's pretty much naked other than, a loincloth at that point. But, and his claws are sticking out. So if you want like a, Weapon X, this is super accurate. That's him and Skullbuster are the only two I don't care about from this wave.
If you like
the bath,
Speedos and chest hair.
Yeah. That's what he's wearing. And the bath, I don't care about the Build-A-Figure here. But, yeah, this is a super solid-looking wave. All the X-Men waves have been awesome so far. And I personally can't wait to get this. Anyone have any thoughts on this other than me?
And anybody have any thoughts on this that aren't smartass? No, I guess not.
I want to hear your smartass.
No,
comments.
I mean he looked. This is definitely like an Arnold body too. Like he's going
Arnold
to pump
body?
you up.
Or a Hugh Jackman body.
Well, no, I just mean
I gotcha.
I mean,
X,
he's
yeah.
he's stacked.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I guess that's all the adrenaline they're pumping into him through those tubes.
And I'm hoping the figure will be short, because Wolverine's supposed to be a short character, and like the, in the first and second X-Men waves, the Wolverine that came with him was shorter. And, the one that was in the Apocalypse wave, that is one of the best. That Marvel Legend just blew me away. It is that damn good, that damn accurate. I love it. And, I don't really want a Weapon X. I like my Wolverine. But for those that do, this is really well done.
I think I said it before, but I really do like the piece of bubble gum. That's the best. The best thing you could do to a figure is something just out of left field like that.
Yeah, that is cool. And what I'm wondering is, it's like, so they have her normal head where she's just there, and I'm like, okay, there's that, and she already has the pink glasses on. Then the bubblegum head, the glasses are a separate piece you can put on. And I'm just like, so are the glasses removable on the normal head or not? And then if they're not, why are they removable on the bubblegum head? I'm just wondering why they did that. It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she looks great, though. I mean, this is all these characters that I want here. They look exactly how I want them to. So that's really cool. Alright. Anyway, why don't we get into some discussion? So, do we want to talk about the Bill Maher or the proper technique when buying and selling online?
You want to flip for it?
I have nothing to flip over here. Let's see.
Coin flip.
What do
Online.
I have? Okay,
You gonna flip a lizard?
I kind of want to do the Bill Maher thing, but
no.
we'll see. Anyone have a coin?
I have a head coin flipping app. I can hit the button and flip it.
I have a Studio Series black. Oh, hang on. I got Scorponok. I want to flip a Scorponok.
All right. Flip the Scorponok.
Studio Series Scorponok. Okay. What's right side up?
Bill Maher's right side up.
Bill Maher's right side up. And
Buying and selling is
other thing is dead on his back.
Okay.
Whee! He's dead on his back. Do we actually care about this flip?
Okay. We'll do that then. All right. So this may not take as long, and we could do the other one if not. All right, because this show seems like it was shorter. Anyway, I want to talk about proper technique and etiquette when you're buying and selling online. And the reason I want to do that is
is because you're buying and selling online.
I am, but I'm doing a lot of selling lately, and I decided to sell my Star Wars collection. So if you want something, hit me up. At Chat Speaks. All right, and I'm not doing this topic just to pitch my own crap here, but all right, so I got like 27 Star Wars figures I'm selling, and 8 of them are SH Figure Arts. And, I've priced them to move, and I've posted them in some groups on Facebook, but I haven't really gotten responses there. Then I thought, you know what? The Toy Arc forums, that would be a good place for me to post them. A lot of people were on there buying, selling, and trading. So I posted them there. I got links to pictures. I tell prices I have fair prices. Some of them are really good prices for everyone. All the figures have prices on them. So I had someone who wrote me, and they were like, "Hey, I'm interested in the following figures. Do you maybe want to do a trade?" I looked at what the person had. They don't have anything I want. Wrote them back and said, "Sorry, I don't see anything I'm wanting in your thread. So, if you want to buy them, it's this much plus shipping. Actual shipping. I don't overcharge shipping. I don't undercharge. I charge you exactly what shipping is. Maybe if you're buying a crap ton of stuff, I would, make you a deal with shipping or something, or give you a little discount." But, told him that, and he's like, "Oh, I was really hoping to do the trade. I don't have the cash right now." I'm like, "Oh, no problem. I understand." Then someone else writes me, and they say basically, "Hey, man, I want to buy all your figure arts except for Luke. What kind of deal can you get me? PayPal ready." If you're going to write someone with that, that sounds to me like, "Hey, I want to buy these. I got money in my PayPal. I want those right now," So I read that, but I know not to get overly excited because of how things typically go. So I wrote the person back, and I, added up the cost of the 7 figures he wanted, and, I was like, okay, well, that's a good bit over 200 there, just a little bit. Tell you what, I'm going to knock like $15 off that price, which would basically be like free shipping, I'm sure. So I was like, tell you what, I'll do, instead of $235, I'm going to do $220 plus actual shipping. Their figure arts, probably, even though it's like 7 of them he wanted, I'm sure like the box wouldn't be that big because they're kind of small packages. So I'm guessing like no more than $15 to ship it, So I'm giving him a decent discount there. So a guy writes back and goes, "Oh, well, how much could you do for just these 4? And, I'm thinking, well, God, the 4 you want, they're, 2 of them are all of them are priced pretty low, and 2 of them are R2-D2 and C-3PO, which are pretty sought after, and my price is pretty low for those compared to what you'd find on eBay." So I wrote him back, and I think I told him, well, my prices are already pretty reasonable for those, and what happened to wanting those 7? I'm giving you a decent discount there. Maybe if you tell me what you had in mind, we can meet in the middle. And so, he wrote back and said, "Oh, yeah, I just got excited seeing all those available. I didn't really look at the prices. It's, a little more than I wanted to spend." And he's like, "Can you do 120 shipped for, the 4 that I want?" And I'm just like, I didn't write him back yet, but I will, by the time this show goes up. But I'm just like, it's got me thinking about how many times I've listed things and just had people who are trying to lowball me. And, I get everyone wants to get a great deal, but you got to be reasonable about it, Like if the guy was like, "Oh, I can't really do the 220 for those. Could you maybe do like 215, 210? I'd be more apt to go, "Oh, you know what? You're buying 7 of them, yeah." So, what kind of experiences have you guys had buying, selling, trading online? Especially bad ones, because those are fun to hear.
You just made me think of a thing that I've thought about a bunch of times in this same situation. It's I am not completely sure why people get upset about lowballing. Because, that's your open invitation to counteroffer. And, I mean, unless you've already said, hey, this is the price firm.
Right.
That's just kind of part of it, I think. Unless you're like asking 30 for it and they're offering you $5, that's lowballing.
Oh, I've had that happen too.
Yeah. I mean, there's extreme lowballing, but some people have something marked 40 shipped, and I'm like, well, could you do? I mean, I don't think for something that's marked 40 shipped, somebody popping in and offering 35 shipped is. I mean, it's $5.
Right, that's not
that's
bad.
But that's still kind of a bad example too, because just pay the other $5.
Right.
So I'm trying to think of something a little better, but I guess when the offer's unreasonable, it's unreasonable.
Yeah, that's the case with me here, because let me do some math here. Yeah, because the guy, like, the figures the guy wants, it's like. It's R2-D2 C3PO. I'm only charging like $45 for each of them, so $90. You look on eBay, they're going for $100+ all day long. Sometimes a lot more than that. And then he wants like Rey from Episode 8 and BB-8. BB-8's only worth $10. Like I don't think he's worth that much. And Rey, I'm only charging $35 for, and she sometimes goes for more than that. So. I'm already like, well, gee, my price is already reasonable, and you want me to give you $15 off of 4 figures, whereas before I was giving you like $15 off of 7 figures, So I'm like, well, that should cover shipping. That's the least I could do, And I don't know, it just seemed unreasonable to me, and I'm just like, I don't know, I don't think I want to do that just because. That's like giving you, BB-8 for free plus some, or it's, giving you like half of Rey for free. So, just felt weird to me when you're only buying 4. I'm like, when you're buying 7, it's different. So, yeah, I just feel like you gotta just use your head. If someone asks you the same thing you're asking someone else. And you think about it and go, gee, I wouldn't like it if someone did that to me. Maybe I'll not lowball them that much, Like, I think it's okay to counteroffer people and all that. I don't mind. I do that with people too, Sometimes I go, well, could you do this instead? And sometimes they go, yeah, no problem. Other times they're like, I got to stick with my guns here and ask, my price I think was already reasonable, and sometimes I go, okay, well, I'll just pay that then, that's fine. But, yeah, it's just annoying, dealing with people who want unreasonably low prices.
I do try to make these things as painless as possible, like if they're offering a price and it's something that I think that is okay for it, I usually just go ahead and do that.
Yeah, same here.
Or when I'm selling things, I tend to go for like, hey, here's eBay. I'm either putting it up as this price, or I'm putting it up as this price with offer, or putting it up as you're bidding on it.
Yep.
Just so I can avoid all that stuff.
Yeah. Like like if this stuff doesn't start moving, I probably will slap it on eBay after a while. Because I would like to move it. Even though they charge fees and all that, it's like, well, okay, but at least I could sell it,
I've sold things that I could have gotten more money for less than I probably should have, because I just wanted it out of here and didn't want to mess with it.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense. Yeah, and I have plenty of that kind of stuff. All right. Josh, do you have any comments on this topic?
Not much, to be honest.
All right.
I've been having interesting experiences trying to buy the Shout Factory release of the G1 box set, and I when I first was looking for it, I was finding it for like 30 to 40 on eBay, and I bought it. I bought it for $30 with a coupon, and then it turned out to have been a scammer selling it. I never heard back from them. They had tons of positive feedback, oddly enough, and then after I reported them, they disappeared off of eBay. I presume their account got closed down, and I got the refund. But then after that, by the time all this was over, all of the other listings for it in that price range were gone. So now everything's in like the 50, 60, 70, 90 range even. So I'm just dealing with, oh man, I had it. I bought it.
You just reminded me of a recent something that happened to me. I'm looking for the Killer Flash Funko Pop.
Yeah.
Because I have a set of these pops, and it's the one I don't have, and nobody else makes a Killer Frost. So I'm on eBay looking for one, and I find one that's like, honestly, it was a bit too good to be true. At like a double the price of a regular pop, because it is a con exclusive. It's SDCC or whatever. And so I bought it now because I'm like, oh cool, good price, $20.
Yeah.
$25, something like that. A couple of days go by, and it hadn't shipped yet. And then I get a notice that the sellers canceled my order, and I'm getting a refund. And I'm like, well, no, I wanted that. So I went and sent the seller a message, and all I said was, why?
Yeah.
And what I got back was irrelevant.
Wow.
And I said, actually, that's pretty relevant to me. So you're getting bad feedback. And he comes back with this message where he says, I'm okay. I've done the right thing. I've done this properly. When you give me bad feedback, I'll report you and they'll remove your account. I'm like, buddy, I've been on here for 10 years. They're not removing my account over one hack seller. But yeah, no, I was just appalled at the attitude, and I kind of wish I had it right here so I could tell everybody what that douchebag's name was. Because that's no way to talk to somebody who's a customer or a potential customer. That's wow, irrelevant. It's like, actually, it's very relevant to me.
I had similar happen where I was trying to get a SH Figure Arts Iron Man Mark 46 back when they were coming out, and they'd been out a little bit, but they were still available, and I bid on one, and it was like $40, which is pretty cheap for that at the time, and I paid and everything, and all of a sudden I noticed my money was refunded, and the person basically wrote and said, I can't even remember the excuse, but I knew that he wanted to get more money for it, and that's why he didn't want to, send it. So he just refunded the money and came up with some lame excuse that I just rolled my eyes. But my wife ended up getting that for me as a birthday or Christmas, Hanukkah gift for me anyway, and she only paid like $50 for it, so that worked out well. But I've had similar, and it's just people. You got to be honest, and you got to do the right thing. That's what it boils down to. Don't try to rip people off. If you're buying or selling or trading, just do the right thing. That's what it boils down to. All right. I think we've covered that topic pretty well, and we've had a pretty nice show. So, excuse me. I hope everyone remains healthy, and if you're not healthy, I hope you get better. There's a lot of stuff going around, and my family has experienced some of that recently, so hopefully everyone will be on the mend and get better soon. And so, anyway, I am Andrew Schatz. My Twitter is @SchatzSpeaks. That's @SCHATZ Speaks. And you can find Figure Nights Theater. We've made some new accounts So you can find us on Twitter. You can even look for @FKT Podcast. That's our Twitter handle. You can also look for that on Facebook and find us. Or you can look for Figure Nights Theater, spelled TRE at the end, and find us that way. But yeah, we have a Facebook page. We share, lots of news about the Transformers and some Marvel news and other fun things that we see. Like I saw, another Ghostbusters movie with the original cast is happening, and I shared that out in the world. And our Instagram, we have that now. It's @FKTPOD, @FKTPod. So add us on there. Instagram's pretty fun. You can see some pictures I posted on there of the Eric Killmonger figure I got. That's really cool, so you could take a look at that. Drew, you want to give out your social media?
I believe I will. I'm on Twitter. It's blink_drive. If you pop on there and hit the website link, you can go to the site where you can get my self-produced, self-mixed, whatever, self-released EP. Mm-hmm. It's songs about science fiction television shows. It's pretty dorky, but in a cool way. Like, it's not nerdy sounding. It's just nerdy thoughts behind it. And
really good music too. Everyone should get that. It's really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The FKT Pod, the same one that he was talking about on Instagram. I've got a lot of fun action shots from the Fall of Cybertron. War for Cybertron siege line figures doing stupid stuff and running from Shockwave and other crazy things on there. So that's a lot of fun. Recommend you check that out because we've got some fairly talented photographers amongst us. Not to mention you can see lizards on display stands. So that's a mighty powerful thing. I think that's it. Oh, one more little thing. If you are a fan of science fiction television shows, we are through the Sliders fan blog doing a Sliders rewatch this Saturday. We're doing 2 episodes. That info's on my Twitter. And Hulu is about to pull Sliders from Hulu, possibly. So we're kind of wanting to get everybody that participates to watch these 2 episodes with us and live tweet them and watch them from Hulu so that they can see the numbers and say, hey, don't pull this great show from your roster. Mm-hmm. So that's that, and that's what I've got for y'all this week. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Cool. Josh, any social media you want to share?
@T_F_Allen is my Twitter. That's about it.
All right. As usual, we will thank the Audio Nights Theater for hosting us. You can find them on Facebook. Just look for the Audio Nights Theater. Ends with TRE. They're also on YouTube, and you can find their Twitter @TAKT Online. Be sure to ask for Dave if you have some audio editing needs or voiceover work that you need for your business or making a commercial or something, or even if you have a podcast and need that edited, get in touch with him and tell him that Figure Nights Theater sent you. All right, everyone. Have a great night. We'll see you next time for Toy Fair. Woo!
Yay!